Hello, I'm Archie Harris, and over the last year I've gotten into rotor flight and been really happy with it. As I've got into rotor flight, I've also got into other open source systems like Edge TX on these radios and ELRS. I want to talk to you today about some of the basics of ELRS. One thing you can get when you're looking at purchasing your first radio, RadioMaster radio, you have a choice to make from the start, and that's, do you get ELRS built in, or do you run an ELRS module on your radio? So this radio was my first radio that I purchased to start. This one has a multi-protocol internal radio, so it can run Spectrum receivers, Futaba receivers, and those kind. And I opted to put an external RadioMaster Ranger module on the back. After running this a while, the bulk of the module on the back, I decided to go to a built-in ELRS system. This is my primary TX16 that I use for flying the helicopters and others. And it just gives a cleaner back of the radio. Also, this is the max version, so it has the aluminum upgrades. This neck strap piece is really nice. It helps the radio balance. The folding handle is nice, aluminum handle. Also, I found there's other great radios. This is the RadioMaster Boxer Crush. This radio also comes with AG01 gimbals. The Crush edition does. Has an internal ELRS module. And then this is one that I bought for my daughter. This is the RadioMaster Pocket Crush. And it also has an internal ELRS module. Now, this radio has 250 milliwatts of output on the ELRS. This radio has 1 watt, and this module can go up to 1 watt. What I've learned working with line of sight helicopters is there is really no need to go over 250. So if you're wanting to get a radio and just fly helicopters with it, and you're not looking at FPV long range, this is plenty of output power. Let's talk about some different options from RadioMaster in the ELRS lineup. First, let's start with the RP series. So you can see here on this Goose Sky S2, I have the RP2. This one has a very small ceramic antenna. It's great for little micros like this. On the RP series, you're either going to be connecting those up. So if it's one like this RP2 or like this RP1, you're going to have to solder and make your lead to your flight controller. This one, you can run it off CRSF, or you can run it off S-bus communication between the receiver and the flight controller. Next, we have the RP1. This is a basic quad or drone style receiver. It's very small, soldered up, single antenna. But this one, from the form factor, this is a top choice for like example, a 5-inch quad. Then we have the RP3H. This is the receiver that's specific for the Nexus unit. It was made for the Nexus unit. The nice thing about it is it's plug and play. So with the provided cords, you can plug it straight into the Nexus unit. It communicates over CRSF. It also has a port that you can put voltage in that will communicate back to the radio. And these are some of the basics to understand. Now, one thing that is important to also understand about the RP3H is that it is a diversity receiver. So it has diversity of antennas. And that's something good for helicopters. And you want to make sure in your setup of the receiver that you do have that turned on, and it's not selected on antenna A or B. It is set up for diversity. Next, we have the ER series. So as you can see here, I have the ER6 GV. This is a glider with Vario. I have the ER6 standard. And you have the ER8. And also have the ER4. Now this would be perfect for a foamy. Single antenna, small form factor. The important thing to know about the ER series is that they do have servo pins and put out PWM straight from the receiver. Another really nice feature with the Express LRS receivers is that you can take your phone, you can take an iPad, you can take a laptop and connect those directly to the receiver with no other devices in between. All you do is simply power on the receiver, wait for a period of time, look in the Wi-Fi networks, and you'll see Express LRS receiver show up. Now, I've already logged in on this one. If you haven't, if it's your first time, when you tap on it, you'll be asked for a password. And that password is simply Express LRS, all lowercase. So type that in, and it'll take you straight here. Now, you can set your binding phrase from this first menu. So there's 4 main menus here: options, Wi-Fi, model, and update. So you can set up a binding phrase. You can set up your other parameters like lock on first connection. You can import and export settings between different receivers. Wi-Fi sets up how your Wi-Fi is handled and connecting to the receiver. The model menu is really interesting, especially with these receivers that output the signal to servo ports. And what you can do is, you can see here, this is the ER6, so I have 6 outputs. Now on the receiver, they're labeled channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, but they're really ports that you can configure in any way you want. So output 1, you can change the hertz of the signal. So you can see it can go anywhere from 50 all the way up to 400 hertz or 10 kilohertz duty. And I can turn it off as well too, or like an on-off switch. Set it for that. So here it comes set up default as 50 hertz, and it is outputting channel 1. Now I can also change this to anywhere between, and you can see here I have 16 channels. So I can go all the way to aux 12. So if I want this to also output channel 2, now port 1 and port 2 are outputting channel 2. I can invert 1 here with this button. I can change it to 750 center pulse. And I can also set the failsafe right here from my phone at the airfield. Now if you're on your laptop, you can come over to this handy update tab. Once you go here, you can choose a file off your laptop, and you can tap update, and you can update the firmware on your receiver straight from these menus. I hope these basics have helped you understand more about the Express LRS. There is so much to learn about this system. This system is open source. The developers are constantly making updates and changes that bring more benefits. And it's just a really exciting system. I hope you're as excited about it as I am.
Heli direct!